Hi guys, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Emilia, and I'm back here today with another film review. Although today is quite a special video since I've been asked to partner with Criterion Film to review one of their movies. And for those of you that don't know, Criterion are a home video distribution company that focus on licensing, restoring, and distributing important classic and contemporary films, which here on my channel we can appreciate. And basically they want me to review one of their movies. I was super excited to get this opportunity because I'm really passionate about films and I think it's important that we expand our awareness on them. And I already kind of am familiar with Criterion and I've bought movies from them. But it's like you have the big blockbuster event films and then you have the ones that aren't trying to market a bag of Doritos towards you, the independent ones with things to say. Those are the movies that Criterion try to spread. By using Criterion, I've been able to find some interesting film reviews on their website and see some behind the scenes of some of my favorite movies. So without further ado, introducing The Virgin Suicides by Sofia Coppola. This film is truly a work of art. Through its bleak and sterile cinematography, the film manages to capture the airy and delusional feeling of being an adolescent girl, like some illness we must all face as a rite of passage into embracing womanhood. I hold this movie very close to my heart because growing up in a female-dominant home, I was wrapped in the divines of femininity. The way we can all understand how each other are feeling, the rituals and normalities we develop in secret, with my dad, of course, being out of the loop. The Virgin Suicides by Sofia Coppola was a 1999 feature debut featuring some amazing performances from Kirsten Dunst, Kathleen Turner, James Wood, and Hannah R. Hall. It's an adaptation to the novel written by Jeffrey Eugenides. The girls grow up in a home being carefully monitored by their parents. However, following the youngest suicide, this only becomes more intense, limiting their access to the outside world. And after allowing them to go to a dance one night after some heavy persuasion, Luck's husband doesn't arrive home until the morning, resulting in an even greater lockdown with them even being pulled out of school. Amongst all of the tragedy in their lives, the boys attempt to contact the girls after finding a diary, but find they still can't wrap their minds around the girls' psyches. Sofia Coppola's films often follow through with the themes of emptiness, alienation, living in excess, girlhood. Coppola grew up sheltered from the world due to her family's fame and wealth. This privileged and yet isolated lifestyle is reflected heavily in her films. This is seen with how her films The Beguiled, Marie Antoinette, and The Virgin Suicides are all told at the breaking point of society's decline, but from the upper class's point of view. With The Virgin Suicides, we are told the story of a conservative, white, middle-class family in a suburban neighborhood. And it's told during the decline of the Detroit Motor City while it takes place in the background of the girls' story. The film opens with a medium shot of a girl dressed for summer eating a popsicle. She finishes and the music begins. It's an eerie yet playful atmosphere and it shows the neighborhood. However, this is then abruptly cut off by the chilling sounds of water dripping and the scene of a 13-year-old girl's attempt at suicide in a bathtub while she holds on to a card of the Virgin Mary. Using the hypnotic soundtrack by the French space pop duo Air, the film evokes the image of how disturbing beauty and femininity can be, and the struggles of staying sane. The film focuses on the perception of the family through their watchful neighbors. However, it's clear that the four boys are unreliable narrators. This is because it's as though they like to look at the girls and dream of them, but don't actually have an interest in the girls themselves. We see attempts at conversation when the girls' mother allowed the neighborhood boys to come over for a small party in the basement due to the doctor's orders of needing to socialize after the first daughter's attempt, and one or two moments at school.
Hi, I'm Chase. I know who you are. I've only been going to this school my whole life. You don't have to talk to me.
Yet, it is the idea of the girls that they prefer, a fantasy, being able to peer into all the mysteries of womanhood as though their trinkets hold the secret to who they are. The boys are essentially placing the girls on a pedestal and romanticize them. We see this through the superficial way of investigating the reasons for their suicide. The only contact that's made is through the movie framing the girls through windows or telescopes, only being able to view a small part of them. This is also seen when any of the boys look directly at the girls. The movie shows them viewing them in a close-up shot to show that they only like and understand parts of the girls, and what they understand isn't real. When the attempt at conversation is made, it's usually awkward and the girls aren't invested, or they're shown giggling amongst themselves, portraying how they're just ordinary schoolgirls. But of course it's difficult for these boys to try and solve the murder. It's not like they're trying to solve a murder case with sufficient evidence from a crime scene, but a suicide where the evidence lays in the girls' everyday lives and doesn't have one direct reason. We see that when Cecilia is found impaled by the fence, the boys merely stare and walk away, without saying anything or offering some form of assistance. This is because they view them from a distance, as though they aren't real and something they can't grasp. After the dance and the even stricter lockdown, the boys are seen trying to communicate with the girls through records, playing songs through the phone. To the boys, it's purely a game. They're excited that they're finally able to talk to these mystical girls that they've been dreaming about and reading about. However, to the girls, it's real life. They're alone and caught in a cage at home with no access to the outside world. But they can easily come and go as they please. Suburbia operates on a none of my business or shouldn't get involved basis. Yet they feel free to gossip about one another and place scrutiny over each other through what they know based on a surface level.
It was no accident, Joan. Of course the parents are to blame. Well, I heard they found the razor in the toilet.
Everyone had an opinion as to why Cecilia tried to kill herself.
That girl didn't want to die. She just wanted out of that house.
She wanted out of that decorating scheme.
This creates a claustrophobic environment to live in, especially for the family after the first daughter's death. When Cecilia dies, the school holds an assembly, but everything is done in a sanitary and uninvolved way, and it's treated like a story in the newspaper rather than a real circumstance, causing the sisters to become the picture girls for all of the things related to depression and suicides. And although the cause for suicide is a hereditary and environmental thing, the neighbors boil it down to her being sad, wanting attention, or bad parenting. This places pressure on the girls, where everyone expects this from them, this sadness, and it becomes a part of their day-to-day routine. However, this routine didn't begin because of the gossiping neighbors, but the sister. When suicide becomes a part of the sister's private ritual, it's inevitable that the other four are going to follow in the footsteps. In fact, when the tree needs to be taken down, the four surround it and stand between Cecilia's handprint and chainsaws. The tree represents the girls attempting to hold on to Cecilia. They're met with a response that there would be no trees left if they left this one up due to the fungus. But it's too late. The disease already spread, and we see 4 notices on other trees foreshadowing the 4 deaths of the last 4 sisters. As teenage girls, if one bad thing happens in their life, they feel like it's the end of the world. This is because their lives so far are the totality of all they have known, meaning that they feel that their life is awful though they have yet to experience it. They feel how they are boiled down to being attractive females with the power to tempt men. This is shown through the theme of virginity and sex. The girls were raised by their strict conservative Christian mother telling them to cover up, and like in Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette, the girls are sheltered from the realities of the world around them, trapped in a cage while their mother grows increasingly controlling over the watch of their neighbors, eventually forbidding them to leave the house or go to school. The mother represents a bygone era, which doesn't allow much growth for the girls, considering that the girls only know as much as each other and only really talk to each other. This is because the mother is cold and distant and doesn't really offer a form of comfort, and the father can't really talk about deep things. We see this when the priest comes over to their house. He can only talk about sports to him. And when the two parents come back from the hospital after the first attempt, they're not really talking in the car. And when he does try to talk about stuff with people, they usually walk away while he tries to talk about his own interests. So the girls are isolated from not only the outside world, but their family. And so when one of the sisters decide to take off in not very convenient ways, the others follow in their footsteps as it's all that they know. However, whether the girls want to be viewed in such a light or not, the boys place them in that position. We see this in the opening of the film with the allusions to sacrificial figures such as Lolita and Hamlet's Ophelia. Whenever we are shown the girls from the boys' point of view, the palette is warm and sunny, accentuating colors such as pink, red, and white for virginity and sexual desire. However, when we see the girls alone at moments that the boys' point of view couldn't possibly be placed, the scenes are sterile and washed with cold blue lighting. This allows us to see into the girls' grotesque lives and psyche. We see that they aren't these mystical goddesses, but can be gross with clutter all over their room and leftover rotting food on the floor. The boys only like the idea of the women, but when presented with the reality that they bleed and feel pain, they are disgusted and ignore it. The blue tones represent the reality, shown in the bathtub scene, the doctor's office, when Lux wakes up alone the morning after spending the night with Trip, and finally, when the bodies are discovered by the boys and they finally see the reality of their suffering in no romanticized lighting. In conclusion, I think that this film is very important for everybody to watch, but especially if you're a girl, because Sofia Coppola actually takes us as women seriously. In Hollywood, there has been so much history of girls being called hysterical or girly and all this other stuff, but Sofia Coppola, she gets down to the root of girlhood and the trials and tribulations we face. She doesn't shy away from showing us as real. If you enjoyed this video, first of all, thank you for watching, and then don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this.
Love is all my soul.